Welcome to day 45 of the 300 Movie Challenge. Today we watched the highest grossing film of February 1998 and recovered from our trauma.
Oh,
so
the
we
humanity.
We watched The Wedding Singer, which was pretty solid, actually.
Let me put it this way. When I saw, hey, it's a comedy, and then when we're, looking at the credits, Adam Sandler, I went, oh, fuck. For that, it was noticeably better than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
Definitely. It was...
We all kind of cringe seeing the romantic comedy aspect, but it was...
What it was pretty solid.
Yeah.
What it was was rather dumb, but for what it was honestly not that bad. Okay, one thing that we all agree on was bad is literally every other character besides the main two.
Yeah, basically.
Every other character is like a total, either like complete asshole or just super
a dumbass.
Weird. And it's like, it kind of, like, that's kind of the comedy of it a lot, where it's like, oh, look at these weird people, and it's like, that doesn't really work too well, because it's more just like, just seeing weird people do stuff is not, like, that funny, usually. I mean, it can be, like, a few times, but it's more just like, ooh, weird, and it's like, okay. But, again, the focus is definitely not on the other people. Honestly, the only other people who really do get much are, like, the
sister, Holly.
The sister, her fiance, and also his friend, the guy friend or whatever.
Oh yeah, the guy with the mustache.
Yeah, and like he starts kind of bad, but he again the bar scene is like, oh okay.
Yeah.
And then the fiance, like, he's supposed to be a dick, right? That's like the point. So again, it's like, so they're at least like okay, or at least you understand where they are.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else who's like a minor character, again, they don't really matter, so it's not a big deal, but you're just like, what the fuck is wrong with people? Like,
it's like you entered the Twilight Zone and you're just like, are these people even real?
Yeah, it's so, and like the old woman who's all like,
the old woman was
so
weird.
Creepy.
Oh my
But
god.
On that note, with what we've said and stuff, that means that we actually back the main two characters as a pairing, which is pretty good considering our previous romantic comedies thus far.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
these guys were really cute,
they're
actually.
probably the best couple in any of these romantic comedy movies we've seen so far.
Yeah.
The only one to be kinda close would be, I don't even remember the name now. The first one.
While
we
you
saw.
were sleeping?
Yeah.
While
so,
you were
Yeah,
that
they're
one,
about the same.
I'd say they're a bit better than that. But
they definitely have more chemistry.
yeah, like it's believable they're together, and I guess the reason I can't like praise this movie too much is that, like, again, the plot itself and just like what happens, it's pretty like, what's the word?
Basic?
Yeah, basic and like simplistic, childish almost. It's like, it's, again, I said this while we were watching. I'm like, I can't be mad at this because it's having like a good message, but there's a lot of just dumb stuff in it that's like,
I guess it's
too simple.
It kind of falls to the convention of a romantic comedy in some aspects, but that's kind of the genre and tropes that it has to follow.
Yeah, for a standard romantic comedy, it's pretty good, but I would say a standard romantic comedy is not very good, if that makes sense. So, yeah, it's, and like, again, because I guess, I don't know, I swear, like, I feel like sometimes I have such like a abnormal view of relationships, even though, like, I feel like I shouldn't, just because I see this and I'm like, yeah, this is obvious. And it's like, do people really not think this is obvious? Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's kind of sad if that's the case. But, I mean, I know there's a lot of fucked up relationships, so I guess it's not always the case. So, I don't know. But again, it's like, I like the messages, but also at the same time, it came off to me as if, like, again, this is not a huge deal, but it came off to me a little bit as if the movie was like, look at the great knowledge we're imparting on you. You never thought of it like this before. And I'm like, yes, you did. This is obvious. But it's like, I don't know. Is that just me kind of getting that sense? I don't know.
I kind of understand where you're coming from.
I didn't really get that from the movie, though, but I understand.
I know I'm like... just also from my perspective.
Yeah, I think it's probably just a perspective thing because I didn't really get that impression myself, but I can understand where you're coming from with it, though.
Right, because I've been in a relationship for, as of now, almost 3.5 years, and...
You keep, like, updating.
Yeah, it's the thing, you can kind of judge this, because I swear, like, at the beginning of this, I was like, almost 3 years, now it's like 3.5 years. But no, because it's like, it's one of those things where... You know, what was it? There was a specific quote, like, line someone said, and I forgot what it was. Oh, but it was something like, you know, love fades or something like that. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. If it fades, then it wasn't, you know, I would say that's not actual love, in a sense.
Yeah, then it wasn't meant to be anyway.
Yeah, I would say, at least from my experience, that, like, there's no such thing as love at first sight. There's infatuation at first sight.
Yeah.
And that love has grown from that, and you know, I would say now that the person I'm with, I love them more than I had previously, just because again it grows, and it's, you know, it's you really can't explain it because, you know, you have to feel that way about somebody.
Yeah.
And it's just when people are saying, you know, again, the whole thing about, like, oh, you know, I'm gonna marry someone, but then they don't show up at the wedding, or, like, you know, oh, I want to marry this person, you know, but he, like, doesn't, or whatever, and I'm just like, how would you, what? Like, how do you even get in that situation?
Yeah, those kinds of things I found pretty obvious.
It's like, is this actually happen to people in real life? It's just,
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know, it's just so...
I guess it kind of happened to my aunt, but that's kind of a story that I probably shouldn't tell.
I mean, I guess it kind of depends also about what your, like, mentality is during that time, too. Because, I mean, it's like, looking at it from, like, a perspective where you know how a relationship could go and stuff, that can be a little bit hard. But I know, like, for instance, like, my mom, she says that when she got married, she was more in love with the concept of being in love than actually in love with the person.
Mm-hmm.
So,
that actually,
I guess...
sorry to interrupt you. That actually reminds me of a song lyric.
Oh my god.
But no, the song is, let me try to remember it. I'm wasting my time with the thought of falling... Wait, no, hold on. Let me think of it. I've wasted my time falling in love with the thought of falling in love with someone.
Yeah, like that.
Mm.
So I feel like, at least from what I gather from the beginning of the movie, both of them were more in love with the fact of, like, getting married and stuff, that they didn't really...
They didn't take into account who they were marrying?
Yeah, they didn't take into account who they were marrying. So it was, I guess, after they met each other that they realized what exactly they were getting into and stuff. Or what exactly they missed.
Yeah,
Barely, like...
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's... Because I feel like that probably happens to people.
Yeah, it's an interesting message to get from a romantic comedy, certainly.
Well, it's also, like, I've said this before, that I feel some people view marriage as the goal.
Yeah.
And that should never be the goal, because then after the goal, you're like, okay, now what? Right?
Yeah, but
yeah.
It's like, well, no,
I like how the message was it should be someone that you want to grow old with.
Right.
Because after the marriage... You're going to be married.
You're still together with them. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
Like, you can't check it off the list and be like, all right, I'm done now. It's like, you know, it's not how it works.
Because it's like, what do you do next? You know?
Yeah.
But I liked how it was like that, and it concentrated on, like, growing old with the person as opposed to, yeah, let's go get married, because that's what people want to see at the end of the movie. And it's like, no. You want to know that they stay together afterwards, too.
Right,
yeah.
That's the point. The goal should be a loving relationship, and marriage can be a step on that goal. It doesn't have to be, right? It really doesn't.
Yeah, certainly.
But You know, that's kind of the thing where someone was like, they're like, oh, you know, I want to get married or whatever. And then the guy was like, you know, oh, well, I don't want like a big wedding with like 100 people I don't know. And then it's like, well, then don't invite 100 people you don't know. Like, why is this hard?
Go to the courthouse and sign a paper.
It's just
like, not that hard.
Hello?
You don't have to go all the way to Vegas and have a trash wedding.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I don't think you're going to be very proud of saying that.
Oh yeah, speaking of Vegas in the end, we were talking about how the pacing got really strange in the end of the movie.
Oh,
Yeah, if
yeah.
anything, I felt the pacing was a little bit slow. A little bit. Not a lot, but just a little bit. To the point where I was like, wait a minute, this has only been like an hour, right?
Yeah.
Again, it wasn't like distracting or bad or anything, but it was just like, huh. But then, yeah, in like the last like 30 minutes, it was like, wait, what's happening? It was just like everything like went super fast all of a sudden, and it was like, you know, the guy getting married, but then he's like, or no, they switched to Vegas, and then like the girl goes to see him with the ex-wife, but the ex-fiance's there, and then it's like, but then she's not, and then it's like, what the fuck is happening right now? It's just so random that like all of this happened at the end. But again, I mean, they definitely needed to spend time showing the two people in their situation and them together, and I'm glad they did show that. So, again, the long aspect, that's not like a big criticism or anything. It's very minor. And maybe it's better that it feels longer than feeling rushed. So
Yeah, definitely. I think we learned that by the end of the movie.
yeah.
Oh yeah, and there was this one scene, like in the middle, where I couldn't stop laughing.
Oh yeah.
God, this song.
He was like,
Yeah, when he was singing the song where he wrote half of it while he was with his ex, and then half of it after they broke.
How he's like, the
lyrics-
first half of it's just like, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you, and then the second half is just like, that was all a lie, fuck you, bitch, or something, and it was like,
How long did I laugh? Like, you guys had to pause the movie.
I
yeah,
think about 5 minutes or something.
at least a couple minutes. I'm not sure exact number, but yeah.
I have a problem where if I find, like, something stupidly funny, I just won't stop laughing.
Uh-huh.
I think Valen so far has broken the record for laughing for the longest, and it wasn't even from the movie itself.
Wait, what?
Was it from the joint?
Yeah, the joint.
Oh. Oh,
It's
wait,
too bad we
no.
didn't capture that on
No,
recording.
I wish
like
I
in the-
did.
Yeah.
I
That
have been
was from
recording
the
like our...
previous supposedly romantic comedy that we watched.
Yeah, I had been like recording stuff just like to get like our reactions or whatever, but I like hadn't for the last couple just because I was like tired of recording something and not getting anything worthwhile. So then I missed something worthwhile, of course. But you know, oh well, whatever. I'll try to.
You missed the best line
I'm
that I said.
sorry. You get whatever. Well.
Oh wow, I guess. Okay, is that it?
I guess so.
I guess.
I guess.
Yeah.
It's nice that this was at least better than we expected after
Yeah.
the last
Spice
one.
World. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
hopefully
we're-
that
God.
continues? Question mark.
We're gonna just shut Spice World away in our minds, so please don't bring it up.
No.
Yeah.
Please
Ever.
don't. Oh, the trauma.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Well, looking forward, I don't know anything about the next one, but I know one of the ones coming up somewhat soon is pretty dumb. So, yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's
I
the,
think-
it's the
Is
big...
it the one before one of my favorite movies?
I think so. Let me check the list. It's,
Probably.
it's the Mr. Big guy. Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the one before. It's the one
But
before.
then we'll
that.
have recovery.
I know. It's yeah, I
No.
know, but it's still. It's not even okay. It's from what I know, it's not as bad as Spice World. It's just stupid. So,
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
if anything, it's more disappointing though because you're like, this could have been good. Spice World couldn't have been good. It just couldn't have been bad. It just might not have been that bad, but it was bad. Okay, anyway, we got some time before that, so we'll see how the next ones go, because we have no idea.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.